You see, the funny thing about waking up is that it can feel awfully lonely at first. You suddenly notice that most people are still fast asleep, and when you try to shake them, they call you the crazy one. Maybe they're right, because it is a little mad to hope that someone will understand what you're saying without seeing what you see. It's like describing a sunset to a person who's never looked up from the pavement, or trying to tell a fish what it's like to be dry. That's the first thing you discover when you begin to wake up. You can't pass it on like a souvenir. It's not a book, not a theory, not even a philosophy. It's a change in seeing. And seeing happens only when one is ready to look. You can talk all you like, but you'll find that nothing truly lands. Because words can point, but they cannot open eyes. Only experience can do that. You may have noticed, when you first begin to awaken, you have enormous desire to share it, to pull everyone you love into the light. You point to the obvious, but to them it's invisible. And after a while, you begin to understand. Not everyone wants to wake up. Not yet. The process of awakening is like fruit ripening on a tree. You can tug at it all you want, but if it's not ready, it won't come loose. And if you force it, it will fall too soon. Bitter, not sweet. The universe has its own rhythm. Every soul opens precisely when it must. You cannot rush it, you cannot delay it. You can only trust it. There's a curious humility in that realization, to see that life itself is the teacher, that even ignorance serves a purpose. Some lessons can't be given. They must be lived through. Suffering, confusion, disappointment, these are not mistakes in the curriculum, they are the curriculum. So the wise learn to stop knocking on closed doors. They plant their words like seeds, and then they walk on, quietly, without worry. Because if the soil is ready, the seed will know what to do. And if it isn't, time will take care of it. And if you think deeper, you will see. This is not your business to awaken people. Because there is already something far wiser, far more precise, doing that work perfectly, without your interference. Call it God, the Lord, the Tao, the great rhythm of life. It makes no difference. It is the same intelligence that turns night into morning, that ripens fruit, that opens a flower without your instruction. And just as you do not shout at the sun to rise, you need not push another soul to awaken. When you try to, you are taking upon yourself a job that was never yours. You start to imagine you are the teacher, the savior, the one who must lead the blind out of darkness. But that's the illusion, the last disguise of the ego. Because the Lord already knows the way each soul must travel. He knows exactly what dream must play, what heartbreak must crack the shell, what moment will call them home. Your work, then, is simple and sacred in its simplicity. Stay awake yourself. Speak truth when you are moved to speak, but release it as soon as it leaves your mouth. For the words are not yours anymore. They belong to His timing. You see, faith isn't proven by how many people agree with you. It's proven by your peace, by your willingness to trust that even those who resist you are still being carried by the same divine hand. So let the river flow as it must. Let the Lord do His work. And rest in the quiet knowing that nothing in His creation is ever truly asleep. And when you finally stop trying to wake anyone, something curious happens. It's as though the curtain you were tugging at falls away, and you see the stage for what it is. Not a battlefield of separate minds, but a single play in which every character is perfectly cast. You notice that the people you once called asleep are not obstacles in your path. They are your path. Their blindness was showing you your own impatience. Their resistance revealed where you were still forcing life to bend your way. And the moment you see this, a strange gentleness enters your heart, because you realize the world was never against you. It was reflecting you faithfully all the time. And as this perspective settles in, something even more astonishing begins to dawn. The world you were so eager to awaken was never outside of you at all. Every person you meet, every reaction you have, every argument, every disappointment, is life holding up a mirror, showing you where you still believe in separation. When you meet someone stubborn, perhaps it's showing the stubbornness in yourself. When you meet someone asleep, perhaps it's life whispering, "See, you were once like this too." The same blindness that frustrates you in them is often the shadow of your own forgetting. And then you realize you were never trying to awaken others. You were trying to remember yourself through them, because there are no others, only reflections of the same consciousness, each at a different depth of its dream. This is why the awakened one grows gentle. They stop judging the sleepers, because they see that the same light shines behind every mask. Some lamps are dim, some bright, but all are fed by the same flame. So the world is not your project to fix. It is your mirror to understand. When you shift, it shifts. When you forgive, it softens. When you stop demanding change, change begins everywhere you look. And perhaps that's the quiet secret of awakening. Not that you rise above the world, but that you finally see it was never apart from you. The moment you start seeing the world as yourself, you also begin to notice how ridiculous it is to keep fixing it. Because, really, who are you fixing? It's like a dog chasing its own tail, round and round, barking at the very thing it already is. We spend half our lives trying to reform the universe, to improve people, save society, tidy up God's mess. And yet, look, the trees don't seem to need our advice. The stars don't hold committee meetings on how to shine better. The tide doesn't consult a life coach before it rises. Everything seems to be managing rather splendidly on its own. But we, the clever ones, we think we're here to straighten the cosmic rug. So we worry, protest, explain, persuade, as though life were somehow malfunctioning without our supervision. When this hits you, you realize that all the rescuing and correcting were just ways of resisting the dance. To let go doesn't mean to withdraw. It means to join in freely without the weight of control. You act, yes, but you no longer strain. You speak, but you don't demand to be heard. You love, but you stop trying to reform the beloved. And suddenly, life becomes light again. You find yourself moving with it instead of against it, like water, finding its own level, without pushing, without forcing. You realize the world isn't something to fix, it's something to watch unfold. And the watching itself is part of the unfolding. Once you stop trying to fix the world, the next temptation is to preach about it. Oh, I've found it now. I'll tell everyone how not to try. Which, of course, is the very same game. Ego loves a good spiritual disguise. You see, truth doesn't need a salesman. It speaks quite fluently on its own, through the way you move, the sound of your laughter, the calm in your eyes when everything falls apart. People rarely awaken because of words. They awaken because they feel something in you that words can't explain. A kind of stillness, That's the only real teaching there is. Not what you say, but what you are. When you live what you've seen, it radiates through you effortlessly, like the fragrance from a flower that never tries to be fragrant. And that's when others start asking, what happened to you? You seem different. And you smile because you realize you haven't gained anything new. You've simply stopped pretending. To embody the message means to vanish into it, to become so ordinary that the extraordinary leaks through the cracks. No preaching, no persuading, just living. And the strange thing is, that's when your presence starts to do all the preaching you were trying to do before. You were never apart from the flow, only busy pretending to be the swimmer, when in fact you were the water all along. To trust the current is to stop fighting life with your plans and expectations, to stop trying to make the world behave, and to let it move as it will. Because it will, whether you approve or not. And when you finally surrender, you realize something rather moving. You were never here to save anyone. You can't. Each soul has its own river, its own current, its own strange and beautiful way of coming home. You can't save them, you can only love them. You can hold them when the waters rise. You can shine a light when the night feels long. But you cannot swim their river for them. And that's not a tragedy, it's grace. Because love without control is the purest form there is. And the moment you began to love, you were never separate from anything again. So let go. Let the river take you. For it's not carrying you away. It's carrying you home.
אחד. אם אז. אחד, אם סבתא. אחד, סבתא. קפיטנה. חייבת לחתולה נהדרת סימן למדיטציה, הן תהיינה חייבות לתמותה ותמתינה לעלות מעלה על הענן הטכנולוגי. 2. אמא תמתין מלפתות את הכלבה להתלבש בסמלה אנושית טרם זמנן לעלות על הענן הטכנולוגי. נקודה. 3. בת תמנונה תמתין להפחדה שתעלה מחוש וחוש חוסר עזרה, שתוביל לפסיקה המשולשת למתח ולפעילות ההכרחיות. 4. בן תמנון לא ימתין לצוד את התבנית אשר תערוב למרובע שווה צלעות להחצין חלק מהישרדות דרך ריבוע. פופו. 5. נצנוץ הכוכבית. אבא כלב ישמח להמתין להיבט כרוכית להקה קטנה מוארת באמצע השלולית. נצנוץ, כוכבית, פופו. 6, כרוכית. 6. סבא, זמנסי, גם הלבן, בוב, לא ימתין לשלולית ולפיכך לעולם לא יהיה חף מן לפח. חתולית, לפח זה לחץ, פחד, חרדה. אחר כך זה יהפוך או אפשר גם לפח וגם פחד. פחד, חרדה, צבלנות. שזה 3 מרכזי המודעות, ולפח אפשר לשים את הלפח על הלחץ. לחץ חרדה ולחץ פיזי. לחץ פיזי, לחץ חרדה. 2 מרכזי הלחץ, שורש, מיינד, לפח. 3 מרכזי מבחנות המודעות, פחד. חתולית, איות או תמנונית, איות, ולעיתים ינוקד בעת כרוכית היוליטקי הבלתי צפוי. כלב, 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 2 כלבים, כלב, 2 כלבים. יאנג, 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 אין, יאנג, אין. יאנג, 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 אין, יאנג, אין. נמצא ברבע המורכב, ולכן הוא בכחול. בכחול. יאנג, 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 אין, יאנג, אין. חמש. וכל זה מתאפשר באמת כי קיים משהו שנקרא כסף. סחר חליפין שהוא לא כספי. אבולוציה כרוכית תודעה בחומר. את המודעות הפיזית למימד החומרי, מה שנקרא מחירה. את המודעות הפיזית למימד החומרי, מה שנקרא מכירה. בסדר. חולשה לסטיקרים. 18:58.